Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from LuxCore Studios. I wanted to give you guys an update and kind of look back at what the playtests we have done, so you can see like the October playtest to the November playtest to the December playtest that we just launched today, December 29th. I think it'll be fun so you can see what like a solo dev with no artistic ability was able to accomplish in 3 months. I think I could have done more, but let's dive in and see what it looks like. Oh man, right off the bat, you can easily tell that I'm a programmer at heart and not an artist. This looks not great. But without further ado, let's get into it. So early on, the goal was to get as much of the systems in as possible, like combat. I don't know if you just saw that there's like a guy glitching over there. That was one of the problems I was running into early on. But there was like a leveling up system, a combat system. Will the player and the baddies, the squares, we'll just call them squares from now on because baddies is going to be hard for me to remember. Will the player and the squares take damage? What happens when they die? That's that little explosion and a pop. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, explosion and the pop. So we have the ability to choose whether we increase damage or health. We have bosses spawn. And the idea is like this is an endless mode that will that the systems I'm making will be able to move into a roguelite top-down, like room by room type of thing. So we have a boss spawning meteors. A little bit easy to avoid in an open world like this, but not that big a deal. I think it'll be more difficult when we get to an actual like boss room kind of thing. Let's see what else we got. I don't know if you can tell, but there's one of the early problems that we had with our playtesters was that actually it was not very performant. I made a huge mistake in like instantiating and they call them freeing, I guess, in Godot, and trying to. You saw me just take a random damage right there. It's because it would just spawn guys and not show up. We had an item choosing system, so like these items will affect how the player plays the game a little bit. So I chose poison in that one. When the player hits it, it takes I think 4 or 5 times before it falls off the square, and that allows it to. So this is like again a very simple, straightforward, probably actually the most difficult of the playtests we've done so far, mostly because there's some things I was doing with like move and slide, which was causing players to go or squares to go faster. And as the waves level up, and you can see in wave 2 and rounds are going, the squares start going faster and faster and faster, and they get more health and they do more damage. So as you're doing this, like you're just trying and trying and trying and trying, and they just keep on spawning, and it's like an endless thing. Definitely one of my frustrating things as I was doing this was like as I'm leveling up, how frustrating it is to you level up and then like everything stops and you're like in the middle of this fast-paced thing. You're pressing your mouse button because we don't have auto attack in at this point. So you press and then just stops and you're like, oh no, what am I going to choose? And just like this it's a brain shift gear thing that works in some games. It doesn't work very well in what we currently have going. You can see how fast the guys are going. Oh my gosh, they're so fast. And oh no. One of the big playtesters that did this one was like, I can't even play the game. It's so not performant. Anyway, that was October's playtest. Definitely the most difficult. Let's move on. All right, let's move on to November. In November, we had come up with a name, Oracle of Melees, or Melees. I'm not exactly sure how we want it pronounced yet. I don't think it matters. But the kingdom itself is going to be called Melees, or Melees. I like Melees. The idea of this is to like you can clearly see like a slight change in palette too. The player character is now a archer, an actual asset that I found I bought online. There's still some jankiness, but at least things are like feel a little better. Arrows are no longer like the line of white. One of the important things is, as you notice, like you level up and you can see the stats you're getting, and there's no longer player choice. So I cut how much damage, the damage percent you got in half, and I cut how much health you get in half, and there's just no player choice. And it just flows better and allows the player to kind of like see things that are going on without worrying about it. I don't know if y'all saw that, but up above there's there's a health pack dropping. That's a big deal. I noticed when I was playing in October that the only way to generate health back was to level up. And I wanted players to have, like, there's I think a 3% chance for squares to drop a health pack. I don't know if you've also noticed, but the green squares are archers. They will shoot arrows at the player. That was a good change to the, adds a little bit more tactical and skill level to the game, which is always fun. Bosses are still pretty easy, but now you have, since I added 20 items in the month of November, now you have 3 options to choose. Playtesters had told me that they didn't like having to mouse over the item to know what they were getting, so I decided to add them name and description and icon. You can see there's a lot of still programmer art in there. Noise textures are being used. You can see the grassy noise texture that I'm walking on top of. Just some simple squares for bad guys. Some assets that I've found online, but like stock UI, and that's pretty much it. Important things to note is, like, the squares are adding a little bit. They're a little bit slower. They're running there's a bug there where the rocks weren't stopping the arrows. So one of my playtesters just literally spawned the boss and got him stuck on the rocks right away and just shot him to death. Bosses are clearly still too simple. Gordian Lockpicker, I think, is what's chosen. This one was one of the most broken, overpowered abilities in the game. It spawns a AoE whenever you hit him with an arrow. The problem is that you shoot so many arrows, you hit so many times. I think there were like 60 or 70 were being spawned at a moment, and it's just crazy. It's just too much getting spawned, and so I swapped it over in December. We'll see that in December playtest. You can see the rock wall will knock back it'll knock back someone if it doesn't kill them, and will also defend against arrows being shot by the green squares, archer squares. Let's see, what other feedback did I get? I got a lot of, like, bug feedback, weird things happening with, like, respawning, but you can see there's a little bit more of okay, this is the direction we're going, which is a lot of fun to see, and a lot of, like, the playtesters being able to experience it. You can still, like, there's an example of, like, just how strong the Gordian Lockpicker is. All right, we've got Poison Ring, Lightning Helmet, and Phoenix Stone. I choose the Poison Ring this time. Oh, no, I chose the Phoenix Stone. Okay. One of the things, you'll see it in a second. Let me see. Yeah, one of the early things was, like, the added dodging. There's a lot of player stats that were added. So I added, like, a player attributes class that will allow for a lot more designers to have, like, hooks into being able to say, hey, let's do this, like, this affects this way. So the Rockwell ability actually slows down the player a little bit, which is actually a big deal. Like, in a chaotic environment where all these things are happening, that's a big deal. That boss ability you just saw was the Super Saiyan boss ability. If you don't kill the shield before it breaks, it explodes. I need to make it bigger, stronger, faster, stronger, that type of thing. So I just picked up Boots of Speed, which make me walk faster, probably puts me back to roughly what I was at the beginning. And yeah, that's kind of it. A general, like, thing. November's playtest November development month was very much focused on adding, like, systems content. So, like, a lot of items were added, 20 items, 5 boss abilities, maybe 25 items. That was the goal, is, like, to maximize how many I could put out. December, let's swap over to December at this point. December's playtest was actually a polish one. So you can see there's already some changes happening on the main menu. You see a UI art assets being added. Thanks to Kenny Game Assets, he's phenomenal. I highly recommend him. He says his stuff is for free. He just wants the exposure of it. Right away, you can see I bought a new main character asset for running around. I'm still trying to work out some of the kinks, see if I like moving, like, do I want to rely on facing or do I want to rely on movement for the direction he's going? You can see that already, like, you can't quite tell unless you've been in the playtest, but shooting at your light attack now has I think a 0.5 second cooldown instead of a 0.1 second cooldown. So I had to up the damage a little bit. It makes things a little bit feel a little more tactical and stuff like that. You can see the tile set in the bottom. This will probably be similar to the tile set that I will use in for like the roguelite, the first act of the roguelite of the actual game. Because the idea is to use this as an endless mode packaged with the final product that people can go play. But I wanted to place like an arena to test, send my playtesters and get like, do the abilities work? Like, are there any problems with the abilities? Are there any problems with like what I'm doing? And that type of thing. And if it works in an endless mode, it'll probably work in a, like with some tweaks in a room by room basis. One of the big things I added was actually the faces. I had a lot of feedback from playtesters in October where they were like, I don't understand what the boss is doing. He just kind of sits there. Oh, this was a great, I added this new one, this shotgun spread. It like really makes your heavy attack really strong, but so shortens the damage or the range so much. So it fires off 4 or 5, I think. 4, can't tell. 4 heavy attacks and just like mows through people, but you have to be so close that it puts you in a lot of danger. And I love like things that do that high risk, high reward kind of abilities. I just love that so much. You can see like the UI's just looking better, fonts looking better, enemy like are looking great. I love their little faces when they take some damage and just do the ooh face. Bosses look like they're pooping when they're casting an ability. That was someone mentioning that. But you can really see like how far we've come. Oh, they see the arrow up there? That's where the boss is. I had some playtesters, they couldn't find the boss sometimes. He would spawn in and then they lost him and there was no indication of where he was going to be. Not super necessary for like a roguelite in a single room, but for a game like this, absolutely necessary. Obviously, there's plenty. Oh, multiplying gloves was like the strongest ability. That combined with Gordian lockpick back in the in November playtest was like the most overpowered thing. Now it's like so. I changed a lot of abilities to key off of a heavy attack hit rather than a light attack hit to allow for a little bit like encourage the use of heavy attack, because I had a lot of players saying I don't ever use heavy attack. I don't see the point of it. And I really want to encourage that, because heavy attacks are supposed to be used consistently and tactically. That's all the progress we've made for 3 months. Since the end of September is when I started working on this game. I think I could have done more. I'm learning a lot as I go. There's a lot of things that even in my 10 years of experience, I haven't run across. And it's a lot of fun to figure those things out. If you're interested in helping shape the end product of the Oracle of Malaise, please join our Discord. Links in the description below. I am ecstatic with how far we've come in 3 months, and I think we're going to get a lot further in the next 3. So, from all of us, I keep saying us, all of me at LuxCore Studios, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. See you in 2 weeks.